week of guided reading. This week we'll be looking at pages 24 to 32, and today we'll be doing a vocabulary discussion and a predict activity. So I'm going to continue reading from page 24, which is where we got up to last week, and I'm going to read through now all the way up to page 32. Make sure you're listening. The cloud carousel is very nice, and I didn't have the heart to point out to Madders Bananas that A, although I'm very clever, I can't light oil lamps because I don't have opposable thumbs. I have non-opposable wings, which are only good for flapping about, so I would have to get someone else to light the carousel for me. And B, when it gets dark, I don't light oil lamps anyway. I stick my head under one wing and go to sleep. Last but not least, C. Shadowy dark clouds usually mean it's going to rain, in which case I'd rather be indoors in a warm, dry villa, listening to perilous snoring. I know, sad, isn't it? He's only 11 and he snores. But that's Madders Bananas for you. Helpful, kind and bonkers. Anyhow, he's been inventing again. He keeps making all this stuff you've never seen anything like it. He's grinning from ear to ear, so he's obviously very pleased with himself. I'm going to make a fortune from my latest invention, Croakbag, he said breathlessly. Mind you, he told me that last week with the other thing he invented. What did he call it? A tele-something. Telephone. That was it. You can use this to talk to people, even when they're somewhere else, he told me. Like when they're in the bath, I suggested. No, much further away than that. For example, if I was here and you were in Pompeii, I could talk to you. What, with that thing? Madders Bananas grinned and held it up. It was a curvy sort of object, and Madders Bananas held it to one side of his head. The top bit was right by his ear, and the bottom bit curved round to his mouth. You speak into this bit, and you hear out of this bit, he explained. Right, I said. But how does that work? Well, you have two of these. I have one, and you're in Pompeii, and you have one. I speak into my bit, and you can hear me in Pompeii. You speak into your bit, and I can hear you back in Rome. I shook my head several times. No, it won't work, I told him. Why not? I held out my wings. Can't hold it, can I? And if I held it with my beak, I wouldn't be able to say anything. Ergo, it won't work. Ergo, that's another bit of your actual Latin, and it means therefore. So now you know. Anyway, I went on, how can I possibly hear you if you're in Rome? Because it's a telephone. That's what the telephone does. All right, you show me. Go to the end of the street with this telephone thing and talk to me. I can't do that yet, Madders Bananas frowned. For a start, I've only made one, and you need two for it to work. One for me and one for you. Also, there are bits missing, and I don't know what they are because I haven't invented them yet. And thirdly, there needs to be some kind of power source to make it all work. A power source? I repeated. The only power source I could think of was a donkey. We use a lot of donkeys in Rome, mostly for pulling carts and carrying stuff. So I was having difficulty picturing how that would work. You'd have to connect this thing to a donkey. Madders Bananas was staring at his invention with that far-away, dreamy, inventor's kind of stare that inventors get when they're inventing. At least Madders Bananas does. Connect, he repeated several times. That's the word, Croakbag. Yes. I have to connect it to something I haven't invented yet and put in the missing bits I haven't invented either. And when I've finished all that, it will work. It will take the world by storm. One day, everybody will have a telephone. I shall probably become a millionaire. But first I need a bit of money to get supplies. I don't suppose you've got some you can lend me? You seem to have forgotten something, Madders Bananas. Really? What's that? I'm a raven, and ravens don't have pockets. Therefore, no money. Madders Bananas gave me a wistful smile and patted my head. You, my friend, are much more than a raven. Really? My mind was boggling. What did that mean? More than a raven? What is more than a raven? Did he mean something bigger? You mean I'm a buzzard? An eagle? But Mad as Bananas was back in his inventing world, and he drifted off, muttering to himself, "Connect, only connect. Donkey, telephone, connect." But that was last week, and he seemed to have already forgotten about it all because now he was full of his latest and greatest invention, a weaving machine. "It's a lifesaver," yelled the great inventor. "It's going to make me into a millionaire." Now, where did I hear that before? Oh yes, the telephone, and before that, the tree. What do you mean, you can't invent the tree? Actually, you're right, you can't. Have a biscuit. You can't invent the tree, and that's exactly what I told him. They already exist, I pointed out. Not this kind of tree, said Mad as Bananas, waving his arms about. This tree grows something, but not apples, not figs, not oranges. It grows ships. People won't have to make ships anymore because my tree will simply grow them. Fantastic, I nodded. And how will your tree do that? Because that's what it does. It's a ship tree. Yeah, okay, but just calling it a ship tree doesn't mean the tree will do it. No, really? I shook my beak and he went off to think of something else. Anyhow, back to the weaving machine. Mad as Bananas dragged along a large wooden box with a lid on top and a door at one end. This, he declared, is the world's first weaving machine. He came up close and whispered to me, "I've made it for Trendia, who is not only beautiful and a brilliant dressmaker, but also the most wonderful woman in the world. When she sees this, she will fall in love with me and ask me to marry her." "I think you're supposed to ask her," I pointed out. "That's sexist," said the inventor. "The point is, this machine will help her with dressmaking. She will think it's so wonderful she'll fall in love with me." Okay, and that's where we're ending the story for today. So, the next activity is to look up and write down a definition for these words. So here are the page numbers where you will find these words if you'd like to read them in a sentence. The first word is fortune. The next word is source. The third word is storm. The next word is wistful. And then we have boggling. And the last word is sexist. So you need to look up these words and write down the definition you find. You will be able to mark your answers on the next slide using your pink and green. But for now, I'm going to skip over it so you don't see the answers. The next activity is to write a prediction about what will happen next. So here we have some questions that can help get us thinking about what we're going to predict. So, do you think Mad as Bananas will ever finish making the telephone? Do you think Trendia will like the weaving machine Mad as Bananas made her? Why do you think that? Do you think Trendia will fall in love with Mad as Bananas? Why? And will Trendia and Mad as Bananas get married? Okay, so you just need to write a prediction about that. Try and answer in full sentences when you're writing your prediction and make sure it all makes sense. And once you've done that, your guided reading is finished for today. So have a lovely rest of the day and I'll see you tomorrow.